Thanks for tuning into our Stocks to Watch series as we bring you exclusive one-on-one discussions with public company executives. This is an opportunity to make informed investment decisions. I'm Ashley Berry, and we're welcoming Adam Coates, Chief Revenue Officer of Decibel Cannabis, a company engaged in cannabis retail and product brands with an additional focus on developing indoor cannabis cultivation facilities in Canada. Decibel Cannabis is listed on the TSXV as DB, the OTCQB in the US as DBCCF. It is a pleasure to meet you, Adam. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. The pleasure is ours. Very curious to hear more about your products. But first, let us talk a little bit about the company itself and what it stands for, starting with the name Decibel Cannabis. Tell us more about that.
Sure. I think when we created Decibel after Westleaf and WeGrow came together in 2019, we really felt like we had the opportunity to do something different. There was a lot of hype and euphoria around cannabis and a lot of disappointment, in the early years. And, we really felt like we had the opportunity to approach the market differently, to make an impact in a different way. And when we think about our name in itself, a decibel, relates to music and sound, but really the kind of definition of it is about pushing that listener to observe. It's a measurement of power. And really that's our inspiration for what we do every day at Decibel. We really want to be looked at as the standard, as the benchmark, and really as the example of what a well-managed, well-run, profitable, cash-flowing cannabis company can be. And I think we've shown that, especially over the last few years with our results, both financially and in the market from a market share perspective and innovation that has really led us to be a top LP in Canada and starting to grow overseas as well.
And I really like that idea of measurement of power. So you have different brands, each of them unique in their own way. Maybe we can start with General Admission. What can you tell us about that?
Well, what isn't there to say about General Admission? It's the #1 brand in the country by market share, and really the idea around General Admission is it's about makers of quality convenience, and so it's very focused on ready-to-consume products. So it started out in vapes, then we got into infused pre-rolls, and have recently launched edibles, which have been highly successful. And the idea around General Admission is function meets flavor. We believe that long term that the cannabis industry is going to move more towards a ready-to-consume predominant formats. And General Admission is really poised to sort of lead the way. It's top two or top one in its main categories in vape and infused pre-roll. As I said, we just launched edibles, which exiting September has us as a top 10 edible brand after only a couple months in market. And so, we really, value this brand. It's obviously, our largest brand to date. And it has also, really let the market know, I guess, that it's truly one of the most innovative, if not the most innovative brands, that has come to market over the last 5 years in cannabis. It's been recognized by the Kind Awards, by the Growth Op for innovation, best pre-roll, best vape, and is widely viewed as the favorite amongst bud tenders. There was a recent Brightfield survey that came out that it was the #1 recommended and consumed brand by bud tenders, which is really important in the context of, that point of connection with the end consumer, often taking recommendations from bud tenders. So to have a brand that is very highly thought of by the bud tender community and really well supported, is really important to kind of maintain the trajectory that you're on. And, it's really been, a huge growth story for us, especially over the last couple of years as it's landed itself in the #1 position in the country. And as we continue to innovate, as we continue to bring new, products and formats under the General Admission brand, it keeps us excited about the growth opportunity that is still ahead of us. And as I mentioned before, especially the product categories that it competes in, which is vape, infused pre-roll, and edible, those product categories are actually growing as a subset of the entire industry. And so there's lots of tailwinds behind these categories and our market share is in a very substantial position. That should lead to further growth, both from a market share perspective, but also, generating top line and profitability for us as well.
Fantastic. Now let's talk about Vox. What's special about it, and what's really been the reaction from those that have tried it?
So Vox is the latest brand to join the Decibel portfolio. We launched it in June with its first sub brand called Vox Pops. And I think Vox Pops is another illustration of how Decibel really is the most innovative, or one of the most innovative cannabis companies in Canada. So we launched with the first crushable pre-roll, which is essentially your standard pre-roll with a bead in the filter, nested in the filter. And when the consumer wants an extra hit of flavor, they crush the filter bead, and they get this wave of extra flavor. And so really what Vox is all about, it leans into the Latin version of its name, which means voice. Vox Populi means voice of the people. And how we've positioned Vox is to have these sort of customized experiences. So as we get into other product categories beyond just the Vox Pops pre-rolls, and really, again, leading into those ready-to-consume formats that I spoke about with General Mission, we just really believe that this is another opportunity to talk to a different consumer, or to take a larger share of wallet from consumers that exist today. So innovative and approachable products, something that has a big value or differentiation, between sort of some of the other standard products in that category. So far, it's had great success. We're just about to launch it in Ontario, our biggest market. So really excited about that finally getting sort of nationwide. And you can look for more products and product formats to come from the Vox brand as we head into the next 12 months.
Yeah, the Vox Pop sounds fun. I mean, it's like something different, right? It's not like your average brand. Let's talk about other brands. Maybe you can elaborate on their qualities and the market position there.
Sure. So we've got one other product brand in our portfolio, and really, is our hero brand in a lot of respects. So Qwest and the Qwest family of brands, is really what got us started, into the recreational market in Canada. So really high standard, high quality Canadian craft cannabis, was really one of the first, if not the first, sort of craft brands to launch with some authority in the Canadian marketplace in sort of 2019, 2020, and has really developed a reputation and maintains a reputation, as one of those preeminent quality dried flower and pre-roll brands. We've taken that success in Canada and been able to launch it in other markets overseas, and specifically in Israel, where they have a fairly robust medical market. We have a great partnership there and have launched that brand and have it, for the last about 11 months, with a wide degree of success. And it's known as the top premium brand in that market. And as we look at other opportunities like Australia, like the United Kingdom, we're really excited about that opportunity. In fact, we've signed a deal with an organization in the UK called 4C Labs that is going to bring, our unique genetics, our high quality, Canadian craft cannabis to the medical market and medical patients in that region in the next few months. And really excited about the opportunity that Qwest has, not just in Canada, but of course overseas as those, medical and, potentially recreational markets expand. And I think what's really important for the investor to know is, while General Mission is our largest brand now, we wouldn't have been able to, have the success or have the platform or credibility to be able to launch the General Mission brand without the success of Qwest. And so having that reputation for having high quality, consistent products out of Qwest allowed us to have the credibility to launch General Mission back in 2020 in the vape category that was very crowded at the time. And so if you think about that model in other markets where dried flower is going to be the most prevalent sort of product category, especially in medical markets, but as opportunities to launch other formats like vapes or pre-rolls, it sets Decibel up really well to have a platform to be able to launch, General Mission or Vox in those markets as regulations allow, having built the credibility with having such great craft quality flower, and a trust level with, the retailer or the patient base, that depending on the market. So a very strategic brand for us, and really is a hero from the Decibel portfolio.
Yeah, sounds like a win. You talked about the growth expectations for the future, the milestones that you're hoping to reach. For those that are listening or watching us, maybe you can give some insights into how healthy your unit economics are and why should investors pay attention to Decibel Cannabis right now?
Absolutely. I mean, I think if you look at our financials and specifically our gross margin, we have industry leading gross margin. We're profitable from an adjusted EBITDA and net income basis. We're generating cash flow from operations, and so our growth story can be funded with our own cash flow. And I think that's a really exciting and unique, I guess, position to be in. In the LP environment in Canada. Decibel is widely known as one of, if not the most innovative companies, in cannabis in Canada. We're really looked to as the innovator in terms of what is Decibel going to come out next with next. And I think there's a lot of evidence in that, whether it's with General Mission and our infused pre-rolls, which are wildly popular and hold some of the top ranked SKUs in the entire country overall. Coming out with Vox Pops and the first crushable pre-roll, and there's a litany of other, products like the launch of our closed loop system in vape, which is happening, over the next couple of weeks, continuing to sort of push the boundary and set that standard for what innovation means, what it means to really try and, build a true consumer packaged goods company in this cannabis industry, which is what is needed in order to build the scale and really I think the wider adoption across multiple demographics and our total addressable market. And so I think there's a lot of excitement and a lot of reasons to be excited about what we're doing here at Decibel. Our financials are strong, our market position is strong, and really the key to continued growth is ensuring that we've got a pipeline of brand development, of product development that is really going to attract the ardent cannabis consumer as well as new cannabis consumers as they enter the category.
Well, great setup and certainly stirring some excitement for what's to come next. Adam Coates, Chief Revenue Officer of Decibel Cannabis, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your very unique story with us here at Global One Media's Stocks to Watch series. We look forward to additional updates from your company.
Thanks so much for having me.